What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Bryce Mitchell's situation just got worse. While Bryce Mitchell was in Las Vegas for Dana White's Contender Series this week, the number 10 ranked featherweight informed his fans that his ex-girlfriend destroyed his fruit trees and he fears that's just the start of the situation. According to Mitchell, he's fearful that his ex-girlfriend is going to kill him or his dog. In a video that has since been deleted from his social media accounts, Mitchell pleaded with the people of his local community for help.
And my wife is at home by herself. I need my neighbors to help. I need my neighbors to help. This evil woman is going to come by. She's threatened to kill my dogs. She's threatened to kill me. She's threatened to kill all my animals. And I'm telling you, last night she came over and killed my trees. Now that my trees are gone, she's going to try to kill me. She's going to try to kill the dogs, or she's going to try to kill Aaron. For the love of God, can the people in Cersei please help me?
After posting the video, an old video surfaced exposing Bryce. The video, which was released by fan-sided MMA's Amy Kaplan, showed old footage of Mitchell shattering the glass pane of a door while attempting to get his dog back from his ex-girlfriend, Kish Jones. The video ends with the featherweight standing outside while Jones informs him that she would be calling the police. Mitchell, of course, is gearing up for his UFC Fight Night Fizzy vs. Gamrot bout with Dan Ige, where he'll look to bounce back from a UFC 282 loss to Ilia Topuria. Whether or not all of this winds up impacting his final preparations, only time will tell. Shout out to our first comments on yesterday's video. Thanks for the support. Paddy Pimblett gets called out. As Paddy Pimblett looks to make his highly anticipated return to the octagon, Matt the Steamroller Frevola has continued to campaign for a fight against the streaking Scouser. What many fans don't know, however, is that for Frevola, a fight with Paddy Pimblett is personal. As a self-proclaimed Day One stoolie, the Steamroller wants to make it clear to Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy that he made a mistake by signing Pimblett to a reported 7-figure deal instead of him. As he recalled on Morning Combat's Room Service Diaries, Frevola opened up on the beef and a DM he sent to Dave Portnoy when Barstool signed Pimblett.
I think I just let him know I was a Day One stoolie and you got to support your own, and I'm coming for your boy. And ever since he signed him, that's kind of what made me want to fight Paddy the most, was that Barstool chose them. And I was like, all right, you know, you're going to choose your champion. I'm going to take him out.
From the sounds of things, there's been no movement on the bout from the UFC side, leading fans to wonder just what the promotion has planned for the baddie's return. Sean O'Malley on what's next for Sean Strickland. In the wake of UFC 293, there's been plenty of discussion surrounding who Sean Strickland should defend the belt against after defeating Israel Adesanya. While UFC President Dana White has stated that a rematch between the two makes the most sense, Jared Cannonier and Dricus du Plessis both feel they deserve a title fight. In addition, with an upcoming clash between Khamzat Chimaev and Paulo Costa on tap for UFC 294, there are plenty of directions for the UFC to go in the event that the last stylebender wants to take some time off to enjoy himself before jumping back into camp. While speaking on a recent episode of his Bro Malley show, bantamweight champion Sugar Sean O'Malley gave his thoughts on the questions fans have continued to ask. What is next for Sean Strickland?
Definitely makes the division more interesting. People are saying immediate rematch, yes or no. I don't know. As a fan of Izzy, it's like, yeah, you want to see him fight for the rematch, but it's also like, just let Izzy just chill.
Yeah,
let Paulo versus Khamzat, winner that fight. I would be more excited Paulo or Khamzat, but either way, it makes the division a lot more interesting.
With plenty of options on the table for the UFC, how the rest of the year plays out at 185 pounds is anyone's guess. UFC Hall of Famer gets arrested. UFC Hall of Famer Pat Miletich was arrested early Thursday morning in Iowa and hit with his third drunk driving charge. KWQC, a local news network, reported that police were notified of a vehicle being driven on the wrong side of the road, with Miletich recklessly driving his car to a gas station. There, officers found him asleep at the wheel with the car idling. After failing sobriety tests, including a breathalyzer, Miletich was arrested and booked by police before then posting a $5,000 bond shortly after. The latest incident marks the third of its kind for the Hall of Famer, who was arrested for drunk driving in 2019 and again in 2021. After parting ways with the UFC in 2002, following a return to the promotion 2 years prior, Miletich took 4 years off before then competing on the regional scene against Renzo Gracie in 2006. After another 2-year hiatus, he returned to the regional scene where he picked up a knockout win in 2008. Despite now being more than a decade removed from active competition, Miletich is set to compete against former UFC vet Mike Jackson on October 14th. In spite of the incident, Miletich is expected to attend a pre-fight press conference on Thursday ahead of the scheduled bout. UFC Fighter reveals UFC 293 payout. UFC veteran John Makdessi gave fans a glimpse at how fighting overseas can impact fighter pay following his UFC 293 fight with Jamie Mullarkey. Makdessi, a 20-fight UFC veteran who some felt won the fight against Mullarkey, was paid just under $55,000 for his performance after the UFC took nearly $2,500 for airfare for an extra cornerman and $743 for his medicals. In addition, the Australian government took a whopping 45% of his paycheck due to federal taxes as a foreigner fighting in Australia, leaving him with just over $28,000 for his performance. Included in the now deleted tweet, Makdessi wrote, "I sacrificed my whole life for this sport and put everything on the line. Damn Australian government and the judges robbed me pretty badly." Fellow UFC fighter Sadiq Yusuff was quick to chime in, recalling his shock when he was handed his paycheck after making his debut in Australia. Heading into the fight, Makdessi was looking to bounce back from a September loss to Nasrat Haqparast. However, this fight also marked his 20th appearance under the UFC banner, leading many to question why the UFC was paying a veteran so little. At 38 years old, only time will tell what the future holds for the Bull. Valentina Shevchenko drops prediction for Alexa Grasso rematch. This weekend, Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko will compete in a highly anticipated rematch for the UFC flyweight title. Heading into the bout, Shevchenko has made it clear that she's focused on not only avenging the loss to Grasso, but also erasing any lingering doubt about her place as champion. While speaking to MMA Fighting ahead of Saturday's Noche UFC event, Shevchenko dropped her plan for the fight.
Now I have the opportunity to make everything right, how it's supposed to be at the first time. And I'm not playing around. I'm just go there. My goal, enter the octagon, finish, destroy my opponent, take my belt back, and continue what I have to continue.
Of course, with Amanda Nunes' recent retirement, many fans have been wondering whether or not Shevchenko will look to make the jump up in weight again following Saturday's fight. According to The Bullet, however, there's only one thing on her mind: defeating Alexa Grasso. According to Grasso, however, the first fight was no fluke. As she explained to media members leading up to the fight, she was surprised by Shevchenko chalking the loss up to an error on her part, rather than masterful planning from Grasso and her team.
Well, it just kind of surprised for me, because someone with such big experience and competing at this high level, we know that there are no accidents. I trained for that moment, and you also can see the video that I have behind the before the fight. I was training exactly that same position, so it was something that I trained to win that fight.
When the pair step into the octagon for their rematch in Las Vegas, it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Conor McGregor reacts to Brett Okamoto's statement on the Israel Adesanya vs. Sean Strickland fight at UFC 293. Brett Okamoto said Israel Adesanya did not look like the better fighter when he was inside the octagon with Sean Strickland at UFC 293. But that was just one night, and over the long haul, one bad performance does not define a fighter any more than one good performance does. Conor reacted to the tweet saying, "Okamoto stinks." Khamzat Chimaev got called out by UFC fighter Nathan Levy for his latest social media post about the Israel-Palestine conflict. This came after Khamzat promised to break the strongest Israeli man in a fight. Nathan Levy went to Twitter saying, "Khamzat, if you have a problem with me or my people, I'm very easy to find. One phone call to Dana White is all it takes. Now let me educate you. We are not guests. We are home. Jews and Palestinians have ties to the land. Israel's population is 20% Muslims. Most identify as Arab or Palestinian by nationality and Israeli by citizenship. Their equal citizens are doctors, lawyers, judges, serve in the government and even the military. Both Israelis and Palestinians want to be treated with dignity and humanity. We both want the world to recognize our ties to our homeland where we have lived in for thousands of years. We're willing to share the land, and we have, but we will never leave it. Palestinian leadership has declined at least 7 offers to split the land between Jews and Arabs in exchange for peace. Israel even withdrew from the Gaza Strip as a peace offering in 2005, but now rockets are launched from there at our homes. Their leaders would rather keep the people in pain while they hold on to money and power. Palestinian Authority hasn't held elections in almost 2 decades. You're a mouthpiece for these corrupt leaders. Your hateful statements do nothing but intensify the conflict and tear us further apart." Some fans responded to the tweet saying, "Bro, good job sticking up for your homeland, but you aren't beating Khamzat." Another fan said, "I love that there's a couple of competent Israeli fighters in the UFC. You're not known as a physical people. That being said, Nathan, you know Khamzat would crush you in under a minute, right? Like 95% chance." UFC Fighter suspended for PED. According to an announcement from the U.S. anti-doping agency, UFC flyweight Courtney Casey has accepted a 4-month suspension for violating the UFC's anti-doping policy. The report indicates that Casey was given a prescription for BPC 157, a synthetic peptide that reportedly has anti-inflammatory properties. At the time, she didn't know that the prescription violated the UFC's anti-doping policy. After learning she was in violation of the rules, she self-reported a violation to USADA while providing supporting documents to back up her story. As a result, USADA has given her a reduced suspension retroactive to June 1st, which is the date that she last used the substance. Given that, she will now be eligible to compete again on October 1st. Casey has not competed since last summer, when she dropped a split decision to Valentina Shevchenko. Although she was slated for a fight with Yasmin Yasudavicius back in February, she withdrew from the bout for undisclosed reasons. So far, there's been no word on when she'll be returning to active competition once the suspension is up.
Top comments. I would definitely say this era is not tougher than Silva's era. People call Izzy the middleweight GOAT, but it's not even comparable. Doesn't have to be Izzy to sell. Sean is a star without Izzy. The Australian crowd was more for Sean, so I don't think it matters who he fights. Dana said the video he put on his page of putting the belt on Strickland did 16 million. And DC said his interview with Sean was the biggest he's ever had. Dracus got done dirty by being pushed into a quick turnaround, and he is 100% correct on not ruining his opportunity by going into the fight camp compromised. Totally agree with Nixick. Give Sean his Cannonier rematch and let Izzy and Dracus settle the beef. If you want to be featured in our next video, make sure to leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you tomorrow.